Good morning, Imogene. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, Muriel.
So you're going to be speaking today about the chakra and understanding them and that being linked with the well-being. And that is awesome, especially with the stars that we have now. That's what it's all about. So it couldn't be a better timing than that. So here the stage is all yours. Thank you for coming this morning and joining us and explaining all that to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Muriel. I'll get started now. So I'll just share my screen. Can you all see that? I'm hoping we can. Understanding chakras to achieve overall well-being.
You share it again, I think maybe.
Okay, I'll just do that once more. Let me see where I'm at.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, can we see that now?
Yes.
Yeah,
perfect.
great. Okay, so understanding chakras to achieve overall well-being. So some people aren't aware of what chakras are. The word chakra comes from the Sanskrit and translates to wheel or disc. Therefore, chakras are defined as spinning wheels of light or auric energy centers. They're not physical forms, so they cannot be seen. And there are 7 major chakras in the body, which are along the spine and through the neck and the crown of your head, but there are approximately 114 chakras overall. So each one of your chakras receives, processes, and transmits information about particular aspects of your experience and your being. So when you experience something, whether good or bad, negative experience, etc., it can be held within those chakras. So understanding your chakras helps you to make sense of some of your physical ailments, and I'll go on to explain about that later. Know what your physical ailment is connected to an emotion based on where it is located. So oftentimes what happens is when we have a negative emotion, if we don't deal with that negative emotion and we keep going through it over and over again, having that same feeling, then eventually that can actually manifest as a physical ailment in that particular chakra, in the area and the organs that that chakra takes over. So know which activities and exercises to do to help heal ailments and create a happier life. So these are the chakra colors, and it's easy to remember them because it's the same colors as the rainbow. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And sometimes the violet is white light there as well in the crown. So each chakra relates to a different body part and system, age, sensory experience, life issue, essential oil, plants, metal, element, musical note, type of music, archetypes, aspect of the solar system, astrological sign, and many, many more. So for each chakra, it has one of those things or many of those things all linked together. Like essential oils, there might be a few that you could use for different chakras in the body if you know that you're out of balance. In the beginner's course, so each week we will explore one chakra and the following aspects. So I have a couple of courses. One is the beginner course, which does actually just tell you and teach you about each of the chakras and also the tools that you can use to help you to balance the chakra. And I also have an advanced course, and later on in this presentation, I'll show you some examples of what we will be doing in the advanced course. But in the beginner's course, we look at each chakra, so one chakra each week, which is the body part and system, the physical conditions associated with the chakra, the emotional body. We will also be looking at a number of tools we can use to balance or unblock the chakra. So we look at color therapy, essential oils, crystals, sound therapy, food, activities, affirmations, meditation, journaling. So and this isn't all of them. This is just an example of some of the tools that can help us to unblock the chakra. So our aim with our chakras is to keep them in balance and in alignment. So you've already heard me say a couple of these terms like a blocked chakra. So some terms we use to describe them are open, blocked, overactive and underactive, which is similar to open and blocked. And it doesn't really matter if you know if it's open or if it's overactive or underactive. We just need to get it back into balance. So I often use, or I have used on people, a pendulum, and a pendulum actually can show you if the chakra is balanced or not, depending on the swing of it. Sometimes over a chakra, if it's blocked, it can stand straight still. So usually if the pendulum is still on that particular chakra, it means that perhaps you have gone through a lot of trauma. You have gone through a number of different situations that have caused a blockage in that, and it's really, really built up. So it's really blocked. And so that means that you might need some really deep work to enable you to get through that. And it's like the onion, and breaking away or opening up peeling the onion open, taking out the layers to get to the root cause, so that then you can open up that chakra. So first of all, the base or the root chakra, it's located at the base of the spine in the perineum and connects us to the physical plane. Actually, the first three chakras from the bottom are to do more with the physical plane. And it also relates to and controls the fight or flight reaction. It also focuses on security. So whether it's to do with our income from employment, how secure are we? Are we getting our money coming in? I mean, now is a really bad time for lots of people. They've lost that income. We also look at moral or physiological security, family-based or health-related. And the root chakra also aids movement, survival, and self-esteem. So it's all related to our skeletal system, our legs, our ankles, things that move us. So the body parts are the adrenal glands, of course, which are connected to the fight or flight. We've got the colon, the kidneys, the skeleton and bones, the muscles, arterial blood that flows through the left chamber of the heart, carrying oxygen and nutrients to our body tissue. These are the main body parts. The emotional body, so we can hold aggression there. So if allowed to remain unexpressed, it can turn into anger and violence. We've also got the survival problems, such as I said before, money or food. It can make you feel great insecurity, irritable, and have obsession towards material things. Signs of imbalance. So for an overactive or underactive root chakra, we can have blood, bowel, or bone disorders, obesity, anorexia, anxiety, spaciness, financial problems. You'll also find that as we go through the chakras that some of them will have some of the same imbalances, like, you know, anxiety, etc., in different chakras, because they are all connected, but there are definite ones that stand out for each chakra. We've also got chronic chronic fear, materialism, instability. The sacral chakra is located below the navel, about 5 centimeters into the pelvis, and it focuses on building a strong immune system and keeping the physical body functional and active. It controls our appetite for food, sex, and pleasure. The body parts, we look at the reproductive system, the kidneys, the bladder, the lower back, blood, lymphatic system, gastric juices, sperm. It has a lot to do with the fluid that travels around our body, hence the blood, lymphatic system, gastric juices, etc. The emotional body, there's a sentiment of abundance, well-being, pleasure, and sexuality, and also creativity. Creativity, because this is where our babies are born, and so when we're out of balance with this particular chakra as well, doing creative things actually helps in that area. Also, this is to do with relationships that we have. Signs of imbalance or overactive or underactive, we can have the genital, sexual or fertility issues such as endometriosis, chronic menstrual cramping, fibroids, problems with ovaries and the cervix, prostate problems, sex addiction, fear of intimacy, hip or sacroiliac problems, rigidity, bladder issues, dehydration, because again, it's all about the fluids, so dehydration can be an issue, sciatica, emotional detachment, sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up, inclination toward unhealthy and risky behaviors. The solar plexus chakra is also known as the power chakra. It rules our personal power, fear, autonomy, and metabolism, and it's located 2 finger breadths above the navel. The body parts are the stomach, liver, pancreas, gallbladder, small intestine, muscles, lower back, and autonomic nervous system. So not only does the solar plexus deal with digestion of the food that we eat, but also digestion of our emotions. So the emotional body, the emotions revolve around power. They reflect our relationship to inner strength and self-worth. Traumatic experiences can block the proper function of this chakra, causing eating disorders, a sense of perfectionism and criticism towards people or self. So our low self-esteem, our low self-worth, etc. Diet and meditation are key tools to help balance this chakra. Some signs of imbalance, digestion issues, kidney or liver problems, example, hepatitis, diabetes, ulcers, gallstones, pancreatitis, inflammation of the pancreas, bullying. Now, bullying doesn't just mean bullying other people, it's bullying yourself as well. How do you bully yourself? Chronic fatigue, low self-esteem, timidity, and rage. The heart chakra. The heart chakra is located at the center of the chest at heart level and is the center of love and compassion. Human behavior is motivated by only 2 things, fear or love. So our heart chakra rules how we give and receive the greatest force in the universe, which is love, of course. It's easy to understand then that the heart chakra plays a vital role in our overall happiness. It also connects the top 3 chakras to the bottom 3 chakras. The body parts are the heart, of course, the upper back, including the thorax and thoracic cavity, the lower area of the lungs, blood and blood circulation system, the skin, it regulates growth. Of course, a baby that's born that hasn't felt the love of its mother, that's given away up for adoption and is in a family where they're not held, not given love, is not going to grow as rapidly, of course, as a baby that's given all that love at birth. It also controls the lymphatic system and stimulates and strengthens the immune system. So the emotional body, because the heart chakra is the center of love, it opens us to experience love, not only for others, but also ourselves. It lets us feel compassion, joy, and peace. And love is expressed through the heart and not only enriches our relationships, it permeates all aspects of our life. Our heart is wounded when we suffer from emotional abuse and heartbreak. So signs of imbalance of the heart chakra, we can have high blood pressure. It affects the lungs as well, so the heart and the lungs. So we've got high blood pressure, arteriosclerosis, angina, heart attack, heart arrhythmia, stenosis of the heart and lungs, pneumonia, chronic bronchitis, tuberculosis, asthma, apnea, breast cancer, allergies, immune disorders, thymus issues, loneliness, antisocial behavior, isolation, feelings of hatred, feelings of being disconnected, depression, difficulties with forgiving, jealousy, and fear of intimacy. I know I'm going through these really quickly, but it's to get to the main lesson that I want to teach about the 7-year life cycle. So if you've got an overview of the body parts and some of the emotions attached to this, it'll make it a lot easier for you to understand the 7-year life cycle that I'm going to go through soon. So the next one's the throat chakra. So the throat chakra is located at both the internal and external area of the throat. It's related to communication, courage, inspiration, and creative connection. The body parts are the throat, mouth, teeth, jaw, ears, thyroid gland, which regulates metabolic processes, including growth and energy expenditure. The emotional body, the throat gives expression to our emotions in word and sound. We sing our joy, say our prayers for peace, or scream our pain away. When we gossip, keep secrets, or don't express ourselves from our hearts, this can lead to anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. So learn always speak the truth. Signs of imbalance, we've got thyroid or hearing problems, earache, deafness, teeth or gum issues, lying, tonsillitis, sore throat, laryngitis, TMJ or jaw pain, stiff neck or cervical problems of the neck, Tourette's, stuttering, mute, lack of purpose. The third eye or brow chakra. So the third eye or brow chakra is located between the eyebrows. It's related to the act of seeing both physically and intuitively. The third eye is also known as the control center because it focuses on cultivating a strong and independent mind. It governs our ability to focus, think, and make decisions. It also regulates our sleep and wake time. Body parts, it is associated with the eyes, sinuses, base of the skull, and temporal lobes. It also corresponds with the pineal gland, which is responsible for producing melatonin. The emotional body, when a circumstance occurs that evokes our feelings, it is through the third eye that we decide to respond. We decide whether we suppress our emotions or feel our emotions. When we allow ourselves to feel and experience our emotions, they disappear. When we suppress them, then they revert to the subconscious and block our energy. And that's mainly something that we're going to be talking about, blocking our energy in the 7-year life cycle. Signs of imbalance, vision problems, migraines, nightmares, bipolar, lack of imagination and rejection of anything spiritual or beyond the usual. Sleep disorders, sinus issues, hallucinations, lack of intuition, difficulty concentrating and visualizing personal goals, feelings of separation or fogginess. And the last chakra, the crown chakra. The crown chakra is located in the middle of the head at its highest point. It represents our ability to be fully connected spiritually. It is linked to wisdom, inner and outer beauty, and pure happiness. Body parts, the upper skull, cerebral cortex, the skin. It also corresponds with the pituitary gland, which is known as the master gland, as it regulates the hormones of the other endocrine glands. Because of the location, it also strongly corresponds with the brain and the nervous system. Emotional body, obsessive attachment or belief in spirituality, closed-mindedness, living in fantasy rather than connected with the self and reality. Some people talk about someone who's might be airy, fairy, they're up in la la land. So sometimes what they need to do is ground themselves and actually just go out and walk in the grass, walk on the grass with bare feet, etc. They need to be more grounded. Signs of imbalance, Alzheimer's, confusion, spaciness, mental illness, over-intellectualism, depression, apathy, stroke, Parkinson's disease, problems with learning, perception, and spiritual understanding, epilepsy, color blindness, alcoholism, nervous disorders, neurosis, insomnia, chronic fatigue, and boredom. So, as I said, I went through that very quickly, but it was to get us to this particular section so that you have a better understanding of each of the chakras and what the emotional side and body part is related to it. So, the significance of the number 7. 7 is the number of completeness and perfection, both physical and spiritual. So, for example, there are 7 layers of skin, 2 outer and 5 inner, 7 days of the week, 7 seas, 7 colors in the rainbow and chakras. Sound has 7 notes. The Jewish menorah has 7 candles. There are 7 deadly sins. There are 7 holes in your head. In Buddhism, there are 7 factors of enlightenment. In Islam, there are 7 heavens, Snow White and the 7 dwarves, the 7-year itch, and many more that I'm sure you can think of. Okay, this brings us to the 7-year chakra cycle. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one of these years, but I just want to explain it to you. So when we look at our first 7 years of life, we are in the root chakra phase. Okay, so for 7 years, we've got the root chakra. So we're looking at surviving, you know, awakening our feelings at age 2, I want, I don't want, etc. And we are dependent on people to provide us with the food we need, the shelter, the love, etc. So from age 1 to 7. Then we've got the secondary chakra that comes in, and that's the ones up here. So when we are 1, and I'll explain to you as well, people have different ideas about when we start here. Some people believe that the year 1 is from once we turn 12 months, from 1 year old to 2. So this is from 1 till 2. Other people believe, well, it's when the soul enters the body, and even with that, some people aren't quite sure. So some people say, okay, so it's the last 3 months of a pregnancy, and then the next 9 months, that makes up the 1. So I'm only telling you that because what the idea of the chart is for you to go through and remember a trauma that you've had and work out what age it was, and then you will fill out this chakra chart to have a look at where those traumas fall. And I'll give you an example of that soon. So often, or most of us, don't remember anything that happened between probably 1, 2, or 3. Some of us might, but usually those early years, we don't remember much. But we try and work out when something happened that was a trauma. Now, in our age now, we may not believe that something was a trauma when we were younger, but something as simple, I shouldn't say simple, but if you were 3 and you lost your teddy bear that you were given when you were born, and you always had that teddy bear, that's a trauma if you lose it. So those sorts of things. So if that happened when you were 3, and then at the age of 10, something happened and you lost it, you were abandoned somehow, and then something again at 17, then it means that there are lessons there that you haven't learned, that you've got to learn to deal with things with your emotions. Okay, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here at the moment. But as you work out a trauma that you've had and the year that you had it, that also helps you decide or determine what year this begins at if it's 1. I know that if I look at this as being between 1 and 2, I know that when I filled this out, I had a lot of trauma. So at 15, and then at 22, and then 29. So I was able to work that out, and so it worked for me. Sorry, I might be rambling a little bit at the moment, but I'm going to go on to the next page now. But you'll see that when it's got the chakra, when it's your first, the year from 8 to 14, and you're in the dominant chakra phase of the sacral, and then you've got the secondary phases here. At the age of 9, it's a double whammy of the sacral chakra and what body parts, the emotions that you go through here. And that goes for 17, 25, 33, 41, and 49. So this is what I would give someone before I started work with them. And it also comes with a warning, because if you're dealing with traumas that have happened in your past, you might have to actually go and get some professional help. So if there's a trauma there that you haven't dealt with, then perhaps you do need to go and see a psychologist or ring Lifeline or someone to talk to them about this particular trauma, because it might bring up those deep feelings and you need to talk. So with this chart, I would give them this. Now, there is another chart that starts at 50. And again, some people disagree with 50 going into the root. one here. They believe that 50 is a transitional stage, and so you would start here at 51. I like to start 50 here, and I'll go to that chart soon. But I want to show you an example of a client. I've just showed you, I will just show you some part of it to get you to understand about how this works. So at the age of 18, she was engaged to her childhood sweetheart. He passed away in an accident between the age of 18 and 19. And each year, every 7 years after that, she would find a partner, fell in love, but then they'd separate. And someone else actually passed away, a boyfriend, but she could never stay with someone for very long. So every year, now she was in her early 50s, but every year she had issues with holding on to love, being with someone and going the full course. Something always happened. Someone either passed away. There was one person, I think, when she was about 32, but the other times they just broke up. She could never hold on to it. And that's what she was after. She was after a life partner. At the age of 12, something happened and she never spoke about it. So here we're looking at the heart chakra. The throat chakra. We've just looked at the heart chakra. 19, again, she didn't speak about what happened. So when her partner was killed in the accident, she didn't have any grief counseling. Nothing happened. She didn't communicate with anyone about her feelings. 26, again, she had another trauma. So each 7 years, she would go through this trauma. At the age of 33, we've got throat here. She had throat cancer. So she actually developed throat cancer at the age of 33. After 33, when she started dealing with it, she had to do a lot of talking. She had to do a lot of focusing with that throat cancer. She didn't have, you don't want to get that to overcome the blockages, but after that, she was fine with the throat cancer. Now, the thing is that she never dealt with her heart chakra. And so when we were working on it, one of the things among others was for using some rose quartz. Now, just on I just wanted to say that I also work with crystals. And the thing is, if someone has had cancer or is going through cancer, you never, ever give them a green crystal. A green crystal is not good. It's too strong. So I gave her, and she bought some rose quartz. So she actually was wearing an angel rose quartz necklace to try and help as one of the tools to deal with this love blockage that she was going through. Well, that just cracked. It cracked open. So the next time I saw her, I gave her a rose quartz to just put in her bra. She lost that. And then the third time she dropped whatever it was she had. I think she got another angel. And so I thought, well, what's going on here? You know, the heart chakra, things aren't working properly. Things aren't unblocking. She eventually told me that while she was with the fiance, he gave her many, many love letters. And she kept all the love letters. She never, ever got rid of the love letters. She still had them. Even in her early 50s, she still held on to those love letters. And so this is a way that she wasn't allowing that love into her life, because she was so strongly attached to this man that she loved so much that she wouldn't let go to allow more love to come in. And she didn't want to let go of those letters. She wanted to keep hold of those. So that was something that I couldn't force her to do. She didn't want to do that. And so still when she was in her early 50s, she still didn't keep a love, you know, that they were, you know, to marry, etc. So this is just the the one that goes from 50 to 98. And finally, when we have a negative thought or feeling, this is what I suggest you to do, because the thing is, when we have those feelings and we don't deal with them, it just builds up. So the next 7 years, we're going to go through the same feeling, but it's going to be have a bigger effect on us. So every 7 years, we have to make sure that we learn our lesson from that event that happened that caused us some trauma. And if we don't deal with that, then it'll come around again in 7 years. So by doing the chakra chart and looking at where you're at, what traumas that you've had, you can look at it. I'll just go back if I can. Oh, I don't know how to go back. So for example, if we're 52, we've had a trauma from 52 and then 7 years before, and then we're coming up to 58. If we haven't dealt with that issue from when we were 52, that's related to our root chakra and our solar plexus, then we know that by the age of 59, we're going to be dealing with a similar sort of trauma, but it's going to be a little bit worse than the one before, the 7 years before. So we have to make sure that we have learnt from our lesson. If you've got a trauma that's happened, but 7 years later there's nothing there, then maybe that means that you've already dealt with it. You don't need to deal with that. But when you've got 2 in a row, then you know, oh, okay, I better be careful, because in the next 7 years something worse could happen. Okay, so we need to learn from that particular age, you know, if something happened. So when we have a negative thought or feeling, the first thing that you really need to do is be aware of that thought or feeling. So you need to stop. Where in your body are you feeling it? So are you feeling it in the heart chakra? Are you feeling it in the solar plexus? Are you feeling it in the head? I know that when I get really overwhelmed with something and feeling like I can't get everything done, I can feel it in my head. I feel so overwhelmed and I feel quite dizzy. But if it's something where I feel attacked, then I feel it in maybe my solar plexus. I feel, you know, low self-worth, that, oh, I haven't done the right thing, etc. So I want you, when you feel a negative emotion, just stop and go, okay, I'm feeling something negative. Where am I feeling it? And then you can find out what was the situation that caused it. Was it the words someone said? What was the situation that caused the reaction? Also, when did you feel this way before? Okay, so have you felt that way before? And how can I see this differently? So you have to look at the issue from a different perspective. This can be hard sometimes when we are overwhelmed with negative emotions. And one of the best things to do is to journal it out, but use freehand. So write down, okay, this is how I'm feeling. This is what happened. And then just keep journaling freehand, because that's really cathartic and also can help you get to another way of looking at the issue. And also look at what is the lesson to learn from this experience. So for me, at the beginning of last year, like even before that, I wanted to have my own online business. And I procrastinated. I started something and I didn't know how to continue with it. And then I just thought, oh, what's the point? What's the use? I'll just keep stuck in this job, you know. I mean, I do love my job, but the politics and everything around it is what I don't like. And I want to be, you know, have my own business to run how I want to do it. And then at the beginning of last year, I had a really bad time. And I was so angry and I thought, why is this happening? And then I turned it around and I realized, well, this is actually what I need to start my business. I needed to have this happen to me for me to be able to actually take action on what I've been procrastinating about. And so even last year, I was still procrastinating. I'd get a little bit done, but then I wouldn't go much further. And then, of course, Muriel with her Elites program is what I needed. And so now I feel so grateful for what happened to me. At the time, I thought it was a huge trauma. It was a huge, had a huge effect on me. I was so negative. I was really depressed and everything. And then I realized, like, now it's like, thank goodness that that happened to me, because I wouldn't be where I am now and looking into the future of having my own business. So I hope that's helped you in some way. I know I was a bit flustered and got my words mixed up. I am a little bit nervous. But if you would like a copy of the chakra charts, if you wanted to find the time to circle when you've had trauma, to think about it, and it is an uncomfortable experience because you are focusing on the trauma, but it's the focusing on it to see where you're at that then is going to help you not go through something like that again, and start feeling better. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Imogene. Thank you for that presentation. And again, see, it's so obvious that it is who you are and what you should be doing. It just flows the way you understand it, the way you can help people, the way. So yes, I'm really glad that unfortunately those bad things did happen, because that was the starting point, because I did see your chart ages ago, and that's who you are. That's how you can make people feel good. You've got all that energy and all that knowledge and more, because there's a lot of things that obviously you didn't talk about, but you also have some other tools that you can help and heal people and do all those kind of things. So thank you so much for your time. It couldn't be done at a better timing again. So I'm really glad that I'm going to be able to share it everywhere. And that was your first presentation. I mean, how good was that for a first? It's absolutely awesome. And yes, I mean, I really recommend everyone to join you and to be able to exactly have all that cleaned up and sorted. And again, it actually very well aligned with the stars and the cycles of Uranus. And you are right, if people don't deal with it, they cannot move forward, and it will get worse and worse and worse until they've actually done the work. So it's awesome that you are available. And in that case, we will put also your contact so they can actually contact you and have a session with you and move on with their lives, because it is perfect timing to do that kind of job and that kind of work now that we are with all those retrogrades. It is perfect timing. So thank you again for your time. And yes, and then we will keep on going with the people in the presentation today if you've got any questions, but I'm going to stop the recording for the people online. Thank you.